The first lie was the easiest to sell. They said, 21 million coins. That's all you need to know. But scarcity means nothing if belief leaks faster than it fills. And every buyer that doesn't use it is just a future seller waiting in line.
They told me fixed supply means number go up. As if math was a religion, as if price was a prophecy written in code. But price is no profit, it's a mirror of fear and greed. And every coin they clutch is a future sale waiting to break the spell. The higher it climbs, the heavier it gets. Every bag is a weight, every profit a temptation. Number go up, the early ones cheer. But every cheer is a whisper saying, I can't wait to sell to someone who believes this harder than me. It's not adoption, it's a relay race of fear. The real use case isn't even understood, just bags waiting to be unloaded.
If everyone's holding for number go up, then everyone's a future seller. And the market becomes a loaded spring waiting for the first hand to fold.
Fixed supply fixes nothing. Scarcity isn't destiny. Without demand, there's no price. Without courage, there's no network.
They sold you scarcity. They forgot to tell you it was worthless without reason. They said they'd never sell. Said it with hashtags and hallelujahs. But the truth, everyone's loyal until the number's high enough. Everyone not demanding Bitcoin for resistance is a future seller. And that's 99%, even the loudest ones.
Conviction is just a price away. You think they'll hold? Wait till they see retirement. Wait till the boat's on the dock and the car keys shine like exit signs. They called it diamond hands, but every diamond has a crack. Every tweet has a trigger, every wallet a play.
here for you. They're here for the bit above yours. Stack, sats, smile, lie. They'll dump on you with a thank you note. They wear conviction like a costume. Change it when the price fits. Somewhere, someone's counting how many exits the faith has. You think they're here forever, but most of these people aren't here to resist the state's monetary monopoly. They're too scared to do that, just marketing lies to the next greater fool. And if that fool is you, congrats, you're part of the liquidity. Says hold, the market says sell. The chart just waits for who breaks first.
They say it's being adopted, but adoption means monetization. And almost nobody is using it. They just hold and hope that someone else will use it first. And most who own it don't even understand why they need it.
The dream, but never logged in. Wall is full, but the blockchain's quiet. They preach revolution from brokerage apps, quote Satoshi while obeying every law Bitcoin was meant to ignore. They call it freedom, but it's fenced in FOMO. No movement, no noise, just watch us.
Speculation is not adoption. Watching is not using. Conviction is not contribution. The truth, biggest bubble in human history. All of these people will eventually disappear.
I've seen more movement in a vending machine than on a chain. No trades, no burn, just cold wallets and hot takes. They sell the brand, but never the product. They cheer the price, but ignore the mission. They say, store value, but store nothing real.
Bitcoin was meant to move, meant to be a threat, meant to be used when nothing else would work. Now it just sits, waiting to be sold like an unlit match in a locked drawer.
Speculation is not adoption.
Speculation is not adoption. Not adoption. Not adoption.
Speculation is not adoption.
Speculation is not adoption. If no one touches the chain, there is no chain. Just an unsecured database of forgotten believers. You didn't join a revolution. You joined a price feed. And when the feed dies, what's left?
thought they'd let you in. You thought the banks would help you replace them. You thought the state would scale your freedom while it printed your future into dust.
Bitcoin was never meant to be polite. It was a crowbar for the system, not a partner to the fraud. But now they beg for ETFs, shear the institutions, forgetting what this ever was. They want the state to bless it, as if freedom needs permission. But anything the state allows, it already owns. The state will not save you. It never did. It never will. It prints, it taxes, it watches, it waits. They cheered the suits, they wanted Wall Street's nod, but Bitcoin was for exiles, not executives. They forgot the cypherpunks, forgot the dark markets, forgot that Satoshi disappeared for a reason. They made it palatable and killed its point. Freedom doesn't ask the Fed for onboarding rails. They'll tolerate it until they don't. Until the adoption leads to rejection of the dollar. When it becomes a threat, then the exits become real. And when that happens, remember gold. Remember 1933. The state will not save you. It will offer safety right before it cages you. It will praise the tech as it rewrites the rules. Don't beg for its help. Build without it. Move without it. Live like you never needed it. Bitcoin wasn't made to be loved. It was made to be feared. Now they don't fear it because you made it soft. They think Bitcoin is inevitable, that math will keep them safe. But code can't fight subpoenas, and large centralized public miners don't resist. They'll aid the censorship. Bitcoin doesn't secure itself. People do, or it dies. Trust the algorithm, but forget the men behind the nodes. The silent ones, the builders, the breakers, the few. They think hash rate is a wall, but walls fall when no one's watching. No revolution survives on autopilot. Bitcoin doesn't secure itself. It needs risk, it needs resistance, it needs people willing to pay the price. Governments don't fear code, they fear conviction. But where is it now? You call it decentralized, but trust every update. You call it immutable, but you watch it bend for Wall Street. You call it permissionless, but will you actually use it if it's illegal? Because that's what permissionless actually means. Stop LARPing. What good is a sword? No one will swing. What good is a network that no one defends? You believed in code because it never lies, but it also never fights. And when they come to tax, to regulate, to own, the code won't stop them. Only you will, or no one will. Bitcoin doesn't secure itself. It is not trustless. It trusts you. And if you flinch, it fails. Digital fortress is just an idea, and ideas die when no one's left to carry them. They say network effect. They cheer the suits, the platforms, the price. But they forgot. Bitcoin wasn't built to scale like tech. It was built to escape. You chant adoption, but what are they adopting? A ticker symbol, a headline, unleashing gold. You copied Facebook's playbook and called it freedom, but Bitcoin's not a product, it's a protest. And protests don't scale through institutions. They break, they fork, they spread sideways, me first. That's the only way truth survives capture. You copied the words but missed the meaning. Decentralized isn't a tagline, it's a constraint. And constraints don't scale like cloud servers. Bitcoin isn't Amazon, it isn't Apple. It breaks when scaled by corporate hands. It resists capture, that's the point. The network doesn't grow, it multiplies, and every copy makes the original harder to kill. But you cheered the suits, you begged for blessing. Now your revolution's sponsored by the Fed. Yo, it's already happening, scaling sideways. A second dominant Bitcoin chain is emerging, but you're too busy clapping for ETFs, for Saylor sermons, for boardrooms that mocked you until the price pumped. You begged the system to accept the virus, and now it wears a tie, and you call that progress. They compared it to Google, to gold, to Amazon, but those were built and captured. Bitcoin wasn't. It doesn't scale like tech. It doesn't consolidate, it fragments, it escapes. And while you're distracted by buzzwords and press releases, the real Bitcoin already moved on. The network doesn't grow, it replicates, it tantalizes, it disappears from view. But you want invisibility, validation, and you got it from the very hands it was built to resist. You cheer your captors now, you celebrate the men Bitcoin was meant to make irrelevant.
I'm a saint, a suit who speaks in memes. But saints don't sell at the top, they don't file leverage plays. Yeah, he's not here for the truth. Yeah, he's here to cash out on your hope. He came in late when the risk was gone. MicroStrategy was a sinking ship, Bitcoin was the life raft. And you, yeah, you were the air in his lungs. You clapped for conviction, you quoted his threads. But he's playing Monopoly and you're holding the bag.
Michael Saylor is the exit liquidity. He bought the myth, then sold the sermon. You call it adoption, he calls it ROI.
He doesn't use Bitcoin, he doesn't hold keys. He plays the old game, Wall Street rules, leverage tools, boardroom bets on your dreams. Yeah, you're not early, you're not sovereign. You're the backstop, the faithful few he's betting against, while smiling in your face. Yeah. Bitcoin wasn't made for billionaires in suits. It was made for people locked out, not propped up. He's not the face of freedom. He's the margin call king with the Twitter account out. Yeah. He needs you to believe. Because if you stop, he falls first. Yeah.
Michael Saylor's the exit liquidity.
His confidence is your confirmation bias. His smile is the signal to sell. This isn't conviction, it's liquidation. Slow and dressed in quotes. Soft cold. He's not staying for the revolution. He is the exit. And you just walked him to the door.
Welcome to the conference. The lights are bright, the suits are pressed, the stage is raised, just high enough to keep the cracks below out of view. You came for conviction, but what you got was a eulogy dressed in confidence. Giant logos, cheerleaders, corporate treasury panels debating price exposure. Yieldless assets backed by borrowed time and borrowed money. It's a casino now, no production, just leverage wrapped in regulation and sold as innovation. This isn't adoption, it's a liquidation line with a light show, and the collapse is already beneath you. Saylor's just Do Kwon in a better suit. Same strategy, different vocabulary. Stack BTC on a fake foundation and pray it moons before the margin calls. They all did it. SBF 3AC. Now it's the suit's turn. You thought this was different. It's the same ghost, wearing a lanyard and quoting memes on stage. Bitcoin was never meant to be a hedge fund. It was never meant to be a bet on behalf of companies with no revenue and infinite confidence. But you let the zombies in. You gave them the mic. You watched them turn the revolution into a rerun. The lights are off now. The stage gave way. And underneath, all that ever existed was leverage. The conference was the funeral. You just didn't hear the eulogy over the sound of your own clapping.
I watched you, memorized your cadence, took notes on the confidence you bought on borrowed time. But here's the truth, Michael. You didn't walk in with conviction. You walked in with debt. You weren't early, you were desperate. And Bitcoin wasn't your belief, it was your bailout. You lost the game, so you printed a new narrative and called it strategy. But we know the difference between conviction and collateral. SBF wore cargo shorts, you wore a suit, but the trade was the same. Borrow money, borrow time, borrow trust. A pitch deck wrapped in prophecy. You didn't build belief, you collateralized it. You played poker with your company's soul, leveraged faith like it was free. But conviction isn't credit, and we don't hedge when it's real. You spoke in simulations, laser eyes melting ice cubes. Risk on riddles meant to sound like prophecy, but we saw the wires, the sales deck, the CNBC cue cards. You were never the signal, just another suit on the signal's corpse. A preacher with no gospel, just a copy. A Ty Lopez for the degens, selling freedom. You never had to earn, you made gamblers feel like scholars, but your metaphors never had math behind them. You didn't adopt Bitcoin, you absorbed it, you sanitized it, you neutered it. Turned a protest tool into a talking point on an earnings call. But here's the part you forgot to model. The ones who really get it leave before the tower falls. And now, as the tower flickers and the casino tilts and liquidation whispers from behind the curtain, we walk quiet, certain, not chasing price, but exiting simulation. You'll never understand because you never had to. You were never cornered, never desperate enough to need the real thing. Bitcoin was risk to you, not refuge and allocation, not survival. You held it with strategy, but not with stakes. If the world understood tomorrow what Bitcoin was actually for, you leave quietly, cause it wouldn't make sense for someone like you to stay and resist. You called it rebellion, then welcomed the bankers. You shouted sovereign with your eyes on Wall Street's applause. You never resisted, you just tried to sound like someone who would. You're not a martyr for dying with your seed phrase. You're a tourist who brought fireworks to someone else's fire. This isn't your bull run anymore, it's our migration. You simulated sacrifice, we bled for truth. You'll leave when it's real. We arrived because it was